welcome the expert who is guiding us through this process. The Carmel-by-the-Sea Experience Management Plan is a community-led effort to assess our local tourism experience and develop practical, data-informed recommendations that balance Carmel's unique character, economic vitality, resident quality of life, and visitor experience. For the first time, 3 local organizations, the Carmel Residents Association, Visit Carmel, and the Carmel Chamber of Commerce, have joined together to steer this initiative. The work is funded by Sea Monterey through its partnership with the City of Carmel-by-the-Sea. To ensure independence and professional rigor, 2 nationally respected research firms have been retained. Smari Insights specializes in visitor, resident, and stakeholder research for destinations across the country. Better Destinations is a destination management consultancy that helps communities with strong tourism economies balance resident priorities, quality of life, and long-term stewardship. Together, these are committed to listening to the community and ensuring that resident and business perspectives help shape the future of tourism in Carmel-by-the-Sea. A second town hall meeting will be held on October 8th, and a community survey will be distributed to residents and businesses. We have several people that are participating in this task force, and I'd like to introduce them now. When I say your name, please stand and hold your applause to the end, because these folks have given a lot of time to this process. So we'll get started with Carrie Tice, hotel owner, resident, and former city council member. Katie Ania, CEO of the Carmel Chamber of Commerce. Amy Herzog, executive director of Visit Carmel. Nancy Toomey, CRA board member. Janine Chickaro, CRA board member, Sea Monterey board chair and resident. Mark Watson, hotel owner and general manager of Inns by the Sea. Jim Beck, resident. Rob O'Keefe from Sea Monterey, and myself, Graham Robertson, CRA board president and resident. Please give them a round of applause. Before we get started, my introduction to Kathy Ritter, I'd like to invite our police chief, Todd Trayer, to come forward and just say a few words. Please welcome Todd.
Thank you, Graham. And sorry, this is my first time speaking publicly. This isn't a formal city event, but I did want to take a second because I know a lot of people wanted to talk to me today about Car Week, right? And I want to tell you that I put something together for us, and you're all invited. You don't have to worry about this QR code right now, that would be crazy. To come on September 26th, it's a Saturday, here in this room at 10 a.m., and we're going to do another listening session like we did last year. But I would really love for you to come and give me your input on Car Week. I will leave these over there. If you see the last 3 of them, please don't take the last 3. Just use your phone and do the QR code. Tell me you're going to come if you can. And otherwise, you can email me if you can't make it that day. That would be great. So we are working on Car Week for next year already. We're already thinking of what we can do differently. But I would like to give you the facts of Car Week on that day, if not before then. And just kind of tell you how it went from our perspective and hear what it was like from your perspective. The second thing that I was asked to talk about is parking. Hopefully you haven't received a parking ticket from our new CSOs, but, sorry. You're still a good person if you did. And I can tell you that they are effective. They have been working very hard, and they have changed a little bit of the dynamic downtown so far. It will continue to happen. But there is a group of people that we put together, the city administrator, Brandon, and myself, together a team of people, some of them are in this room, that are representing the notion of a managed parking program for people to pay for parking downtown, 701 spots, and we're going to give that information to council. The reason why I bring it up here today is hopefully that doesn't take away from your meeting tonight. You just know that something big is happening, and you'll have an opportunity to come to council and give your 2 cents on parking, what it's like now and what it could be like tomorrow. So that's kind of it for me. Thank you very much. Good to see you.
Good job last week, Todd.
So Jim, you stole my thunder, but thank you. On behalf of our community, Todd, if you could pass along to your team, great job this last week under very difficult circumstances in a variety of areas, but you guys did a great job. So if you could pass along to Mike and the rest of the team our appreciation, we'd appreciate that. How about a round of applause for them? And now it's my pleasure to introduce Kathy Ritter, CEO and founder of Better Destinations. Kathy founded Better Destinations LLC in spring 2021 as a flexible consulting practice bringing together teams of experts to address various destination challenges, especially relating to destination stewardship and destination development. The Denver-based consultancy has built a specialty around helping some of the nation's most sensitive and pressured destinations shape strategies that advance community priorities, quality of life, long-term economic vitality. Her clients have included the Hawaii Tourism Authority, Travel Nevada, Lake Tahoe, the town of Vail, both Moab and Park City, Utah, and Glacier Country Tourism in Montana, as well as places along the Atlantic Coast, Gulf Coast, and Great Lakes. Please join me in giving Kathy a warm Carmel-by-the-Sea welcome to the lectern. Kathy.
Thank you, Graham, and thank you, Chief. By the way, I am going to record this meeting because we want to record your verbal feedback as well as you'll get a chance also to share some written feedback. Hold on a second. All right, I just wanted to make sure everybody knew we were recording. Is this the hottest ticket in town today?
Yeah.
We were a little worried we weren't going to get a good turnout because we only had 2 weeks to get this word out about this session. As of today, we have been doing this for 31 days. We kicked this effort off on July 17th, so it is officially a month, 31 days till this point. So I'll talk to you a little bit about this very accelerated time frame we're on. But before we get going, I would just love to know a little bit more about who's in the room. So if you are a Carmel resident, would you please raise your hand? Okay, that's most folks here. All right, if you own a business in Carmel, will you please raise your hand?
Good.
Okay,
Wonderful.
we have quite a few people from the business community.
Wonderful.
If you work at a business in Carmel, please raise your hand. All right, great. 3 very important audiences. If you come to Carmel often, but don't live, work, or own a business here, raise your hand.
That would be you.
Okay.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Okay, you are all constituencies that we are interested in hearing from. Get this going here.
I when you were born and raised here. Oh. Yeah.
Okay, so our agenda for this evening is, well, Graham already handled the introductions. I'm going to give you a quick overview of this planning process and then a quick overview of Carmel-by-the-Sea tourism. But we want to spend most of our time with you this evening hearing from you. That's really what this is about. I'll be using an engagement platform called Mentimeter. How many of you have used Mentimeter before? It was developed in Scandinavia, and it's essentially, and you'll see for yourself, it's essentially designed to give everybody in the room an opportunity to share their perspective using their phones. How many of you brought cell phones tonight?
Yeah.
Yay, okay. If you get a chance, I hope you are already capturing the QR code on your phone to get into the Mentimeter session, but we'll give you a chance to do that. And we do have people around who can provide tech support too. And then we want to talk to you a little bit about what's next. Graham, thank you again for the very nice introduction. I just want to let you know these are some of the places where I have been doing my work over the past 5 years. I want to assure you, you are not alone. You are among the special places in this country, in this world, who are dealing with issues around visitor management. It's the special places where people want to go. They know about you, you're famous, they want to experience what you have on their vacations. And the challenge for all of these places has been to figure out how to manage the visitation and reduce the impacts of visitation and increase the benefits. That's really the challenge before us today. And to do it in a way that is consistent with what the community wants from its tourism economy. So that's really the big question for us today. How can Carmel get what it wants out of an economy that is the backbone of its finances? The objective that the task force worked out to describe what this is all about is right here. It's almost a mission statement. Identify opportunities to manage Carmel tourism while safeguarding the community's unique character, economic vitality, resident quality of life, and visitor experience. That really kind of sums it up. And this presentation will be available. We're structuring this as a solutions-focused, community-led process. We don't want to get to the end of this planning period and just have a lot of input. We want to be able to offer some recommendations. So that's the path we're on. So these might be some of the topics that we'll explore, just some thought starters for you: parking and circulation, some potential for business partnerships, environmental stewardship, the timing of visitors and the flow of visitors around your community. Can wayfinding and messaging play a role? Facilitate a transparent, community-led process guided by the Community Tourism Task Force to address the tourism experience. So in my experience, the only solutions that really work are the ones that come up from the community. That's why all of you are invited here today. That's why there's going to be a community survey that'll be out in the field next week. That's why there will be another session. I'll talk to you a little bit more about the different components of this process. Another really important piece of this is to assess resident, business, and visitor perspectives of Carmel's tourism experience. Identify opportunities and best practices to enhance the visitor and resident experience while supporting a healthy tourism economy, and deliver practical, data-driven recommendations that are informed by stakeholder input and, I said Sea Monterey research, but actually we've uncovered a lot of other research: Coastal Commission research, city research, parking studies that have been done in the past. So there's actually quite a large universe of information. And what I've been told is it's never all been assembled, and looked at in an integrated way. We're on a very fast-paced timeline for this part of the work. This is really, I think we're all looking at this as opening the conversation. As I said, we kicked off July 17th. We're on a path to deliver some recommendations by November. All right, so let me just give you a very quick overview. One of the first, let me go back one thing I was doing here. I've also been doing confidential interviews. So I've talked to about 22, 23 people now, hour-long interviews typically. Safe place, they can tell me whatever is on their mind, suggest things that they think would be important to consider. And one of the first things I asked most people, and many of those people are in this room right now, one of the first things I asked is, why is this bubbling up now? And I'll share with you what I've been hearing and also what we've seen through some research. You had kind of a perfect storm this spring. The Highway 1 reopened. Obviously, that was of huge interest to a lot of travelers, but not only was that shared by Sea Monterey and Visit Carmel, Visit California was sharing that news with the world. San Francisco was sharing the news with the world. Los Angeles was sharing the news with the world. So there was an enormous amount of promotion around this one event that generated a lot of visitation. Another thing that happened was that you didn't have a lot of snow in your mountains. And so people who normally would have been going to the mountains in March and April were deciding to head to the coast instead. That was happening not just here but elsewhere in California. Another thing that was happening is what we in tourism call a mega sports event. The FIFA World Cup competition generated massive amounts of tourism. Nobody was really quite sure what was going to happen, whether there was really going to be the international tourism. There was even more domestic tourism than was predicted with FIFA. But you had spillover, and this happened everywhere that the FIFA competitions were hosted. People who came to visit there spread out and saw what there was to see in the United States. So I'm sure you saw people coming through. You have another mega sports event right around the corner in 2027, and another one in 2028 with the Olympics in Los Angeles. So that just underscores the fact that this area is at an inflection point. There is, as I've been talking to people, they've been telling me, well, we've seen this kind of tourism in Carmel for years, but you are looking at some conditions that make the idea of coming up with better solutions for managing visitors even more pressing. And I'll share a little bit more background. One of Sea Monterey's jobs, and you may or may not be aware of this, but one of their jobs is to set strategic direction for Monterey's tourism economy. So the way I got involved with Sea Monterey was 2 years ago, helping them develop their strategic plan for tourism in Monterey County. And as part of that work, we developed resident sentiment research to inform that strategic plan. Here's one of the findings that was acted on. One of the questions was asking residents, would you prefer to see more visitors or visitors who stayed longer? I hope you can see this line over here. Carmel is right in line with Big Sur, Marina, Monterey, Pacific Grove, and Seaside, and saying they greatly prefer the idea of getting the visitors they have to stay longer, as opposed to attracting more visitors. The exception was Salinas and the rest of the county, the more rural areas, where they're still looking to attract more visitors. But Sea Monterey took that insight, and this has been their strategy that they've developed. Kind of the battle cry for Sea Monterey is sweep to the east and beyond. And the reason for that battle cry is because they're hearing from their communities that they want they want visitors who stay longer. Those who stay longer are people who travel from farther distances. International travelers, long-haul travelers, are people who tend to stay longer and spend more money. So 80% of the marketing resources now are targeted at long-haul travelers who stay longer and spend more. This is targeted toward fly markets and what Sea Monterey calls their exploratory markets and international travelers, because those are the people who come and stay longer. So what's in all of this for Carmel-by-the-Sea? You know, there's this could be a long discussion, but today we just want to give you a quick overview. Here's a page from Carmel's new city budget, the 2027 city budget. This shows you the 3 pillars of revenue for the city of Carmel. I hope you can see the legend at the bottom, but the purple represents TOT revenue, transient occupancy tax. Every state calls it something a little bit different. Sales tax is the next bar, and property tax is the next bar. Now everybody knows TOT is generated from tourism. What we need to get to the bottom of is how much of your sales tax is also generated by tourism. Monterey did a study, Pacific Grove did a study, about 60% of their sales tax is generated by visitors. I would guess that yours is even higher, because when you think about who shops in your retail stores, who goes to your wine tastings, are those residents, is that you? Or is it mostly visitors? You're probably in the happy position that a town like Vail is, a town of 5,000 people with 2.5 million visitors, but when they pass a sales tax, it's mostly visitors paying that sales tax. even your property tax. Now, I'm sure all of you get property tax bills, but think about the tourism-related properties that are also contributing to that tax base too. So we still need to get to the bottom of how tourism is really supporting the economy here, but obviously the stakes are high for you to have a successful tourism economy. One more thing just to keep in mind, there are 1,400 new hotel rooms in the works in Monterey County. That increases the stakes for every single community in Monterey County to be prepared to manage more visitors. When people come to Monterey County, they want to see what you have. So it just, again, raises the stakes for making certain you have good systems in place to manage. The other piece of this is that there's going to be more competition. There will be, half of these are full-service hotels. So there will also be more competition for brand new properties for visitors. All right, so that brings us to the main event this evening, which is to hear from you. If you haven't already signed into this engagement platform, I would invite you to do so, because this is going to give everybody in the room an opportunity to weigh in on the questions. I've got, I think, 6 questions that I'm going to be sharing with you. Each time we'll invite you to share your responses. We'll see kind of responses that pop up, and then we'll give everybody a chance to get their opinion registered. And you can get into this 2 ways, with the QR code, or you can just type menti.com into your phone and then enter this code. If anybody needs help, there are people available. Just raise your hand and somebody will come over and help you sign in. Okay, should we get started? Okay. All right, first one's an easy one. What 3 words come to mind when you think of Carmel-by-the-Sea? And so just enter 3 words, just enter it right into your phone.
Could you share the Wi-Fi password for people
Yeah.
that are on?
Oh, I'm so sorry. You know what that was?
Sunset Fort.
Okay.
Lots of interesting comments there. Yes, it's sometimes, and as I said, most of the places that have the kinds of pressures you're experiencing do have small populations. But what you typically see is a town with a small population, 3,100, 3,200 in your case. Your population's been declining in recent years. That has an incredible array of amenities that could not possibly be supported by 3,100 people. The town of Breckenridge, I always say, 5,000 people, and they have a Patagonia store downtown. That Patagonia store isn't there because there's 5,000 people in town. One thing I've heard in some of my conversations is that you have emergency services and emergency response times that are typically under 3 minutes. That's the first time I've heard that one. Is that right, Chief Traer? Is it 3 minutes? 2 minutes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's pretty extraordinary.
Since we have addresses.
So
We
the
pay for it, though.
The
Yeah.
challenge for any tourism economy is to make certain that the benefits of tourism outweigh the impacts. And that's always the balancing act. And so that is the challenge when you start talking about these issues. Now, what are the benefits? What are the impacts? How can we make sure that there's a net positive benefit? That's really the calculus that we try to do with these types of exercises. I showed you the economic impact case is pretty easy to make. Would anybody like to talk about the cultural benefits of tourism? Is there I saw that pop up several times. Were you raising your hand?
Sure.
Yeah, thank you. Oh, we have a microphone for you.
Where are we going here? Here?
Yeah.
Thank you.
We have an amazing array of concert series and rock festival music that
Microphone, it's not on.
Oh, in that case.
Or sometimes he's
I
talking.
guess I just need to
There,
talk into
yeah.
it. I was just saying that we have so many concert series and performances at Sunset Center, Rock Festival, lots of other classical music groups, and I don't think that would possibly be supported without tourists.
I'm afraid the hot chicks in town comment overshadow what you're saying.
Is that helping you out?
But maybe that goes to vibrancy, interesting people. Would anybody like to speak about that? Let's keep it clean here, folks. Is there?
It's great.
A few people mentioned diversity, vibrancy. Is there anybody who can speak to that? Trust me, we'll get to the tough issues later, but let's make sure we are recognizing.
I'm with the Chamber of Commerce.
Okay.
Director of Tourism.
Yeah.
And in our visitor center, we have a map. One of my volunteers decided, let's put some maps of the United States and the world. And it's an interactive map that when they come in, we have them put where they're from.
Mm-hmm.
People love to do it, and we see that it's all over the world that they come from. So it's a wonderful kind of engagement.
And what's the benefit of that for you?
Oh, to see the massive, the people come from all over the world, and then we learn to, try to communicate and what do they like, what do they want to do here, why are they here,
Mm-hmm.
And we as members and homeowners can share our town. So it's a beautiful way of engaging.
Yeah, I often hear that's a source of pride
Absolutely.
for a community too. Anything else along those lines? Let's get back to the cultural events because that's often. Are your cultural events mostly supported by residents or are they supported by visitors as well?
County residents.
It depends.
Both. Okay, could you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, well, there's all kinds of stuff here. There's all kinds of stuff here. We like the Sunset Center. We also like Hidden Valley. They do a lot. And there's all kinds of like the Monterey Symphony. And just if you look at simply the Sunset Center, that gives you a small fraction of what is available here. And it's much more than we live in LA. A lot of stuff in LA, but relative to the size, this is much better.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, I'll say as a resident, it's nice to have a vibrant community that we get to participate in that's brought to us. I often tell my husband it's hard to go on vacation because we are on vacation here and it comes to us, so we're very lucky.
Yeah. I hear that the nonprofits also do well when you have especially when you have visitors a lot of visitors in town. Is that the case? Got a hand up back here?
Yeah, I just wanted to add one thing about the art and culture. I have clients from all over the world, and I know they come in for Rock Festival is a big time for us, but we also, a lot of the galleries host receptions. And so I have like a big event that I'm doing in November, and I literally have clients from all over the US that are flying in for it. So again, they come in, 80% are walk-ins. They all come in and become clients via walk-in from all over the world. And then they become regular clients and keep coming back. So a lot of these little businesses and art and cultural elements of Carmel are what keep people coming back.
Mm-hmm. They form relationships with your business and relationships with you.
And the elephant in the room is the influencers online. And I see a lot of 20-somethings people here, and they don't know why they're here. They're wandering around, wondering why they're here. It's the internet.
That's why they're here.
Okay, good point.
And they're also the ones that are causing the problem too. So I have some 25-year-olds.
We can't hear you.
Yeah. You know what though? I would just ask you to hold your thought because
Yeah.
right now we're talking about the benefits of tourism and we are going to get to the challenges, I promise you. Okay.
There's,
Okay.
You'll have a turn. You'll
I
have a
think
turn.
have we noted all the benefits?
Yeah.
Okay, so here's a different question, kind of probably getting to a little bit to what you were talking about. When you see positive media about Carmel, does your heart sink or soar? There is a scale. You can pick a spot between 1 and 10. 1 being sink, 10 being soar. We have about 110 responses already. So we're skewing slightly positive, but you can see, if you can see those kind of shaded areas, that sort of shows you where the clusters of responses are. So we have a cluster at sink, we have a cluster at soar, and we have kind of a cluster in the middle. But the average is 6.4 right now. Could we have someone, is someone who answered sink willing to speak up and tell me why you felt that way?
Because there's too many people here. It's disorganized. We don't have the infrastructure for it, and like all the it's just, not to be totally a drag, but come on, we just don't. And plus, we just got over car week, and we don't have the infrastructure for that. But that's why because I mean it's a beautiful place, but we're getting loved to death, and that's kind of a bummer.
So, everybody who said sink, did she express your opinion? Okay, how about somebody who said soar? Okay, we've got a couple soars back here.
Oh, Donnie, you can open one.
There you go. Oh, there you go.
Hi. I think it's positive. I play bridge and I go all over the United States and everybody goes, aren't you lucky? So how could my heart sink when they keep telling me how lucky I am? So and I soar and I invite friends to come because it's a lovely place to visit. And you can eat. And I'm a big fan of hospitality. I have a child in hospitality and a child in the ski business. And they both do quite well and work very hard. And I'm happy that Aspen is busy. My son works there. He goes to Europe and works the Olympics for ski. And it soars. And everybody he lives in Telluride. So everybody loves where he lives too. So it soars because there's no downside to people visiting. And if they're not good tourists, they're not good tourists in any town they go to. They're not picking on us. And so I welcome tourists every day.
I usually agree with Donna. I travel internationally, and when I used to live in Chicago, I never got a reaction. I grew up there. I lived here for 20 years. When I say I'm from Carmel, everyone has something to tell me, no matter where I am in the world. And I appreciate that. And people are jealous of the fact that I live here. And when I walk down the street and I'm a resident, I feel like people are envious of me, and I'm proud of the town. Thank you.
Okay. Did those two capture the soars? Anything else to say on the soar subject? Okay, no pun intended. Okay, how about in the middle? If you landed in the middle, is there somebody? Yes. Oh yeah, we need a microphone here.
I love Carmel, so I wanted to say soar, but I do always get my aunt sending me weekly that Carmel's the best place to live, advertised in San Francisco, and I'm like, but now they're coming, it's too much. So there's that other side where I'm like a little bit cringe sometimes when I see those ads or articles.
I came in the middle, having just experienced Car Week, and it's just getting more and more complex. It's getting longer now. I've been coming to Car Week for over 40 years, and we have timeshare at Highlands Inn, so we're here 3 or 4 times a year for 2 or 3 weeks each time. But managing it is, I love Car Week, but managing it is very challenging. Because I've been coming so long, I know all the little tricky ways to get around to places and that, but if you don't, it's horrible.
Okay. All right, say, yes, I hope you all, I think Chief Trayer was quite sincere saying he wants to hear from everybody, so I hope you will take him up on that offer and share your feedback with him directly. All right, should we move on? All right, the question you've been waiting for. What challenges relating to tourism are top of mind for you? And it would be really great if you could think about the way that tourism impacts your life personally. How are you experiencing the challenges of tourism? Again, you have 3 words. I should have mentioned it does work better if you enter one word at a time. Okay. See, we have 89 responses and 144 people signed in. We'll let this go just a little bit longer, but I think we're starting to see some patterns that are holding up. Okay.
Glad the trash got in there. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. There's a lot of impacts. There's a lot of ways you're experiencing the negative impacts of tourism, but it looks like one topic dominates here. Parking, closely followed by traffic. And then, let's get back to that. Let's talk about trash. Because personally, I walk around in Carmel and it looks pretty clean. Maybe that's today. Maybe that's yesterday and the day before. How do you experience trash in Carmel? Where is that?
On my street.
On your street? And is it just people walking by and leaving their litter?
So Carmel is very lucky. Other things that shouldn't be mentioned are left on the street too.
Okay.
Those who live here go out and pick up after the visitors. We have volunteers in yellow jackets who go out every day and clean Carmel for free because we love this area. But trash, it's a constant battle.
Is it?
Bugs, garbage, seagulls eating garbage from the trash cans that aren't covered.
Mm-hmm. Is that, and I'm just curious, is that an infrastructure issue?
Yes.
Are there enough trash cans? Is there frequent enough pickups? Are there things that can be done to manage trash better?
City money
We have enough
to
trash cans.
protect the
We have
trash
too many
cans
people
from
putting
the
trash in.
rats and the seagulls.
Yeah, sometimes it's enforcement. mean, sometimes it's that the trash isn't picked up enough, sometimes it's that there's not enough receptacles, sometimes it is an abundance of careless visitors. So I'm kind of curious what you see as the issue here, how to fix it.
Raccoons and seagulls and rats.
Rats?
Yes.
How about that get out? Okay. Let's go to parking. Let's talk about parking. Would somebody like to speak? Because I'm hearing a range of opinion on this. Would someone like to speak about parking impacts and how you experience the problem of parking?
Hello. Okay, as a resident, I can't park downtown. There's nowhere to park. So we can't really enjoy, luckily I can walk a lot of places, but not everybody can do that. It's very difficult to find a parking spot. And it's really hard to get across town to go like to Safeway and things like that because you can't, it's hard during the weekends in the summer and especially during car week, you just stay home, you just don't go. But the actual parking downtown, if you want to go pick up a prescription at the drugstore, there's not even a spot in front of the drugstore that's like short-term for us to go in. You can't find one. And I would really like to see, we just got back from a trip to Iceland where every single place you stopped to visit, you paid $7 for parking even if you stayed 10 minutes. Nobody complained, the bathrooms were clean. So basically we paid for them to have the facilities for us. And here we don't charge anything. And the most common question we get as a volunteers in police service is, where do I pay for parking? We hear it every single day over and over. They're shocked that they don't pay for parking. I would love to see that they're actually, the tourists are paying something toward the facilities, the trash, the toilet paper. We're paying for all of it, and we don't even get to use it. So it's just hard. The parking thing is really a real issue, and I see it's complicated.
Mm-hmm. You have your hand up here in the front row, Janine.
Yeah, I think there are two levels of the parking problem. Normal tourism is a parking problem for downtown.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last couple of years of over-tourism has driven parking off of the main streets down 8th, 7th, all the way to 13th. So many of our residents, including myself, our streets on busy days, weekends particularly, have parked cars from the tourists that are now downtown. So our community, our residential community, is a parking lot for the first time. And that is the over-tourism. Without over-tourism, we still have a problem of parking downtown, and I think that was well addressed a moment ago.
And are you saying, yeah, I'm curious whether other people share that view as well. If it's an everyday, all day issue?
We have today. It's a beautiful day. There was no parking in the neighborhood, other than some of the shopkeepers, workers can't find spaces and they'll end up in the neighborhood. But fundamentally, it's not a problem until we get the over-tourism. And that definition, if you're looking for a simple definition, it is parking beyond 9th, 8th, anything south of that is over-tourism.
I can tell you that most of the communities that I work with have come to grips with parking, because parking is one of the symptoms of tourism. It's one of the ways that, it's one of the levers that communities have to manage tourism. So, Town of Vail, for instance, has a parking garage. You pay to park in the garage. I'm just giving you one example. They've eliminated parking along most streets. They've encouraged people to arrive carless, take buses, other ways. But in the summer, and the parking's kind of expensive in the winter because that's the busy time there. But in the summer, parking is free in the garage because they need more visitors. So the parking garage almost acts as a rheostat. So there are strategies that can be built around parking, and I'm sure that's what the chief is looking at. with his parking management task force. So let's just take there is an active,
Question over here?
okay, there is an active, there's a lot of hands over here. There is an active management program going on there, but let's get a few more perspectives about parking.
This is just a follow-up to the gentleman who spoke about parking. I was driving from Safeway to Monteverde Street. I could hardly get through Monteverde all the way down because cars were parked on it, but they're parked way out into the street. They're not hugging the road. So it was a one-lane road all the way down Monteverde this morning. I had to then leave to take my husband to the doctor, and I couldn't get out of town from Monteverde Street because the box trucks are blocking all of the streets trying to get out of town.
Right.
So I couldn't get in, I couldn't get out.
Clearly, it is a point of frustration for a lot of people here. Okay, let's take a couple more.
I'm a new business owner in town. I am my only employee, and so moving my car during the day is a big issue. Also, I sometimes have mobility issues, and bringing things in and out of my vehicle into my business is problematic sometimes. I'd be happy to pay an annual permit fee, and that would be something reasonable for business owners and residents, so somebody knows, okay, that car is supposed to be here as opposed to somebody who isn't. But there's all kinds of farmland around, and I see the parking lots around some of these farm places. It's like, well, there could be some sort of shuttle where people could temporarily park outside, because I think even putting in a parking structure, which would be awesome, might not necessarily be aesthetic and follow the visual aesthetic of the town if people are going to be concerned about architecture. So there might be outside places to do that.
Here we go, right here, ma'am.
I'm an older citizen, and until recently, I drove my car to the library because I always take a lot of books. And I can't find a parking place, so I'm having to walk. And I can see coming ahead in the next few years, if I can't walk, I can't live here. Because I can't get the services I need.
Okay, one more. Thank you for that comment. You know what, I think this gentleman in the back has been patient.
So you're describing a problem not of people, but of cars. So cars sit there all day and take up space, and so the incremental way to solve the problem is to reduce the number of cars. So thinking about doing things like getting employees who have to commute here from Salinas to take other means of getting here, and it might cost some money, but if you look at the budget of what they say parking spaces are worth, spending some money to encourage people who don't need to bring a car and park it all day, incremental approaches that reduce the number of cars.
Sorry, but not everybody that works in Carmel and all the little shops and delis and restaurants live in Salinas.
I'm not saying it's everyone. I'm saying for the same reason when you have, car commuting lanes that require extra occupants, you don't have to use that to get benefits. If someone else is using it, it reduces the number of cars on the road. So if some of the people who have to commute here can stop driving their cars, it will benefit you by freeing up parking spaces.
So
I'm not saying everyone.
Okay.
Attach like a shuttle at the top of the grade.
Excuse me. You know what? I meant to say this at the beginning of the meeting today. So this is really a chance to listen to all of you, but it's also a chance for you to listen to each other. And I would just ask for everyone to listen respectfully. Okay.
Mandatory shuttles work. And the other thing is the delivery schedule downtown for those big expo trucks and the huge trucks, that has got to be regulated. They do it in the French Quarter in Louisiana. And there shouldn't be double parking on Dolores with these big, huge delivery trucks. They've got to come before 10 or got to be some regulation of the size of the vehicles that are coming here because our streets are small. And the other thing is there's a group of people, ironically, not only the CERT workers for safety, but also the huge number of volunteers that come, that don't live in Carmel, that come for the big cultural events at the Sunset Center and the Bach Festival and other places already mentioned, and Carmel cares. Not everybody that volunteers here is a resident here, and they cannot, I know from personal, I live here, but I know from personal experience volunteering, those people cannot find a parking place to appear for their shifts. And that is impacting the economy because that gives the city a break when you have volunteers doing crowd control or whatever, taking tickets or whatever. So, I mean, it's just amazing to me because people do not respect, you know, when you reserved parking signs. They just don't. And the volunteers can't park.
You know, thanks for sharing that. You know, you've identified another population of parkers. We've heard about workers, you know, being a population of people who need to find parking places. In the conversations I've had, beachgoers often come up. Beachgoers is another population of people that needs parking. Obviously, residents, especially as they get older, perhaps need some other solutions than walking up and down steep hills and over tree roots. You know, are there other populations to think about in terms of coming up with parking solutions? This is guidance for the parking committee. We're not trying to solve the parking problem here tonight, but are there other populations that are important to think about?
I would say the restaurant goers, if they had valet parking, or we all talked about a shuttle. We have a Vista Lobos parking lot that can be used for workers. So a lot of this has not been organized, is what we're looking at, and that's where we're moving, hopefully, to organize that.
Yeah. Special event goers, there has been a parking solution, I understand, for Car Week to shuttle people. So that has been tried and implemented. Can you think of other populations that need a solution? I'm sorry? Families.
Dropping my children off at dance class is sometimes very difficult.
Interesting, okay. All right. I'm sorry.
Hi.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, there you are. Okay.
I just came from a doctor's appointment. I'm sorry I'm a bit late, and I hope this hasn't been addressed already. But the new ADUs, etc., that they're building, that typically the homeowner would put their 2 vehicles in, is now becoming a new house. So now we will have 4 more vehicles parked on each road. So that is already a problem, an everyday problem.
Let me ask, traffic is another one of those things that was mentioned quite a bit. Is traffic related to parking, or is it a separate issue? It's the big trucks?
Delivery truck.
What are the other issues around traffic? I've got a hand up back here. Is there a microphone handy?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
That was a trick question. Okay.
Actually, parking is cars, is traffic. Okay. I live just outside by the Forest Theater, and last week, 7th Avenue was like a freeway, and so was Hatton, because of the app that allows you to bypass where you're in traffic. In Europe, which is where I'm from, places like Bruges or Ghent,
small communities that draw a lot of tourism, the area, the residential or the historical area, only allows local people to park there. So I really believe that all local peoples, and now that you're going to have numbers, they should have a free permit to be able to park in front of their house or somebody else's house if it's not available. So the locals should be able to have parking and have priority. I know that tourism brings a lot of money, but I don't think we should trade money at any cost. So I think that we have to really look and have a committee that have a vision of and the experience of what Carmel used to be and what it's become. We need to sit down and decide who do we want to be at this point and not let money be the driving force. I am in business. I have 40 employees that work for me. None of them take the bus. Okay? So public transportation doesn't work. Why? It's not cool. If the vehicles had more of a contemporary look rather than a mid-70s, and I think we would try to make it cool to get good transportation. But there's nobody on the bus. All right, so parking is a problem. When I first moved here in 1970, you could park anytime, all day long on Ocean Avenue. If you were a local and had the sticker, and maybe it still exists, you could park double time. So honoring and allowing the local people to support the local businesses. There are very few local businesses that cater to the people that live here. We have 2 grocery stores that are not the way they used to be or supported the way they used to be. We used to have more drugstores. We had wine shops. We had Kip's Market. We had a hardware. We had so much that catered to the people that live here. Now you have to go out of town. And I never thought that in my life I would buy a house in Moss Landing to get away from Carmel. And so we have so many empty homes now that are not local people. It is not a place for people to live or raise a family until you make a lot of money. Real estate's gone up. Commercial real estate's gone over the top because people that are able to buy it are able to somewhat abuse the tenant and do a triple net. Small business people can't do that unless you're not dealing with a different kind of
Okay.
So what I think
Walter,
you're,
thanks for your comment.
yes, I think you're describing something very true. What I've been told was that all started changing in the 90s when there weren't enough people because there became more houses that were bought as second homes or part-time homes. And there was no longer that critical mass of people in Carmel who could support those kinds of stores, who could support a hardware store or stationers and some of the other places that people really valued. Is that correct?
Yeah.
No? You know what, her hand was up first. Let me ask her first. Yes.
Hi. I see traffic as a safety problem more than anything. I feel I am repeatedly put in a situation of danger due to stop signs not being, people not stopping at the stop signs or being unclear. I mean, we have a 5-way stop that people act like they've never learned in their life that there's some way to actually maneuver that. I'm sure we all know about that. And so many other situations where I don't know if it's the tourists or the locals. I'm always wondering about the people who are just taking advantage of a situation to get in front of somebody else and darting out. I'm glad I bought a newer car that will protect me from those people.
Okay, right. I think Denise, well, let's get back to
Yeah.
Actually, just show it.
Okay.
Yeah,
good.
for a long time.
I
Yeah.
was just gonna mention one aspect of traffic
Speak up.
is that okay?
Yes.
One aspect of traffic is that just from the gross numbers, and it wouldn't really matter where people park, they're downtown or not, but in the morning, but much more in the afternoon, especially when school is in, along Highway 1 down 3 or 4 streets, when it gets crowded, as it does more and has become more and more, they, and I guess maybe from GPS systems as well, I don't know, they cut through the neighborhoods to get from Carpenter to Highway 1, from Ocean up Carpenter and up that way, and the neighborhood streets become, people are trying to get home. They're little, some of them are really stepping on it, and there aren't a lot of children in Carmel, but there are a lot of walkers, and there are a lot of more children than you would think. It's dangerous. It's become worse. You have to really pay attention.
Mark?
I would agree with that. I think that I see so many drivers taking shortcuts through the neighborhoods because of the traffic. But one point I think we should make about traffic is it's a function of people still looking for parking. There are people circling the blocks in the business district over and over again looking for parking, and that gives us the impression of traffic.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. Hi, I actually used to live in Vail, Colorado for 11 years. Then I lived in Laguna Beach for 18. So let me tell you, I know all about traffic issues, and then I happen to be on the committee for parking, traffic, and circulation for the City Council for Laguna Beach for many, many years.
Wow.
So, in regards to the trash, which I see is a big problem in this area, which just happens with a lot of tourism, we actually elected to enforce a 0.5% additional tax on hotels and Airbnbs only, so it didn't affect residents, only tourists. But that additional revenue allowed us to have more trash receptacles, also allowed for our streets to be power washed every day, and allowed for actually paid employees to frequently come and pick up those trash cans. And so everything was kept really nice and clean and tidy as possible. Obviously it's not perfect, but it was a really remarkable, huge change. Second was a few years ago before COVID hit, we actually did Frog Parking, which is a company out of New Zealand, but they have a headquarters in Irvine, California. And they came in the middle of the night and did this very seamlessly, but in all of the marked spots downtown, they put a sensor. And as a car leaves, if you have the app, it notifies you that there's a parking space available. So, and also for safety concerns, those that are causing little incidences because they're so concerned about looking for parking spots, they don't have to do that because they know exactly where to drive. Also for the businesses, for people who have restaurants that need butts and seats to make income, instead of those people circling around and around and around for 30 minutes, 40 minutes, 45 minutes, missing the reservations or getting there late for the reservations, then which causes a, ripple effect of issue with that, and so then they're losing the ability to make more income. Also for local galleries and shops, people get frustrated, they finally just leave town. If they can find parking in a reasonable amount of time instead of circling around and finally either leaving or in regard to, sorry, I'm not saying this very well, but the frog parking helped immensely. So it helped in regards to safety because again, people were paying attention. They didn't have to be constantly looking back and forth, trying to find a parking spot because they knew exactly where to go. Then it also helped those to know exactly where to go, so then they were on time instead of circling around. And then also we're getting frustrated, so they just had a better experience when they come to Laguna. So, and then also for those who have, have to work downtown, if it's a time, you don't have 30 minutes to leave your business, right, to go try to find another parking spot, right. And so maybe you have to walk. Right, or for those that are a little bit older and they're just running to the pharmacy, they know exactly where to park and they can get there, or maybe even a better time to arrive to find a parking spot to to get to the pharmacy to get their prescription.
It's a great suggestion, thank you.
We've got a comment back there, Kathy.
Oh, you know what, he's been waiting.
Spoken
I
a
just
bunch
wanted
of
to
times.
comment, people were talking about some of the things like pharmacies and grocery stores and everything moving. That's more a function of the internet. Everybody's ordering online. We see it all over. I see it down in LA. People don't go to the little small stores anymore. They just don't, and that's not gonna change.
Yeah, what Mark said was true in that a lot of people are going around and around the blocks looking for parking, and that is an issue. But really, the parking issue has to be looked at as a major infrastructure issue. Parking and traffic are so much intertwined. And you know what the city hasn't done. I mean, times have changed a lot over the last 20 years in Carmel, and what hasn't changed is the master plan for the city. And that has to be really updated and really looked at in depth by the chief and a lot of other people in the city council and the commissions that are working on this. One of the big issues in parking and traffic is, you can reduce a lot of things by doing all sorts of different things and working with the city. Remember, this city is a walking town. It's a 1 square mile town. It was initially really developed a lot for walking around. And a lot of that has to be really embraced and looked at. And how do you solve that? And there are many things that can be looked at. You can do certain areas in the downtown district as one-way streets, angled parking, things like that to increase parking and encourage more walking in a safe way by increasing sidewalk size, all sorts of things like that. So, but really, in order to solve it, you have to update the master plan. You have to look at this in its entirety. And look at parking structures, looking at shuttling, maybe in the busy season using lots that are available and having shuttles and things like that to encourage the visitor to come in and walk. And the 2-hour parking thing, it's a great idea, but it really doesn't work. It increases traffic because everybody's coming in. I mean, I see it over and over and over in our business. People, I got to go move my car. So now they're wandering around the streets again looking for the car. And that goes to what Mark was saying about the same people are going around and trying to find another parking space. So, paid parking will, may or may not encourage or discourage people depending on how you look at it. The more wealth you have, the more you're willing to pay more and more and more for parking. So there's all sorts of issues, but the person who's working in town, at a minimum wage job or a little better, may not be so willing to pay that. And so who does it impact? So we really have to look at all those issues together as a one unit issue, not only on their own.
Thanks, Jack. Is there another?
Thank you so much, and thank you for the work you're doing. I'm the county supervisor for this area, and I'm happy to sidebar with you at any time and share some thoughts, but I just wanted to comment on there was a comment that was made about the lack of, or the reduction in services for locals. We talked about pharmacies and hardware stores, all the things that used to exist here. I will say my entire family goes to the Carmel drugstore, and I know a lot of people around here get their prescriptions from Carmel drugstore. So locals still rely on a lot of those entities. But what I wanted to comment on was when you said that it's sort of that we've lost a lot of our locals, and that's why those services disappeared. And I think it's important to note that a lot of those services disappeared just because it was way more lucrative to create businesses that catered to the tourists and not to the locals. And so what I think we need is intentional planning. I mean, we have challenges for locals. First and foremost, our housing supply, and we're losing our local community because of it. So as you go through this process, I think it mirrors what Mr. Galante was saying, that it's intentional planning that's needed, not just this tourism plan, but intentional planning for the city, so we ensure that locals not only remain relevant, they continue to exist. And that's sort of the crossroads that we're at right now. And I just wanted to correct one thing about Monterey Salinas Transit, because since I'm here, my son took the MST home, and I'm just going to pass the mic to Carl Seedorf to just say what the ridership is in the city of Carmel-by-the-Sea.
Sorry, I'm a little surprised, but Carl Seedorf, CEO for the Monterey Salinas Transit District. We carried, like in June, about 12,000 boardings in the city of Carmel. Of the 12 cities in Monterey County, I know Carmel is probably ranks 9th or 10th in population size, yet you're in the top 5 of actual transit ridership. So ridership is actually very strong given the size of this community. Personally, my wife works in downtown Carmel as a property manager, and I come visit her. I take the bus because it takes me it takes me just as long to take the bus from Monterey as it does to find a parking spot. And I can just get off the bus and walk, have a glass of wine, meet my wife, have a glass of wine, or maybe even 2, and then I can get on the bus and go back, and I don't have to worry about it. So something else to consider: for the past 4 years, MST has offered a $500 per month subsidy to van pool for groups of 4 or more people going to work, 4 or more, can share a van pool. We have 100 van pools currently active in Monterey County. 0 of them are in Carmel-by-the-Sea. So we would really encourage Carmel-by-the-Sea to join the program, because it's more effective for us to fund van pools, frankly, than to buy those very cool battery electric or 100% biofuel buses that you can tap and pay with your credit card. The first in the country to be able to do that. So super cool way.
Okay. Well, that seemed like a mic drop right there. Anybody else have something to add?
Thank you for your time. How many of you know of people that have been in car accidents around here? The people on the floor where I live, I can't tell you how many people have been in the most horrendous car accidents I've ever listened to in my life. In the last week, I had 2 cars come straight at me. Not from behind, not from a front, but towards my driving side door. They had to cross a lane to try to smash into me. I wear yellow gloves, I scream, I honk the horn, and I made it through those 2 possible things that could have mutilated my body. When I talked to people about the noise last week, I just heard anger, and I heard the word pissed off from people who don't say that word normally. And I think of Carmel as a place that I can come to and talk to really nice people. I've lived in other countries. I speak a lot of languages, and I love speaking different languages with the people here. I mean, I love this place. I'm really thankful to be here. But because I was so upset about what almost happened to me, I went online and I looked for a program. It says the U.S. has the worst traffic death rate amongst the 28 high-income countries. This program is called Vision Zero Network. 0 stands for 0 deaths. When are we going to pay attention?
Thank you. Kathy?
Yeah, you should go ahead.
One more.
I come into Carmel all the time. I was in hospitality my whole career, so I'm very pro-tourism, but I completely understand all the issues that are being brought up, and that's why I came to listen, so I appreciate all of that. My biggest issue downtown, because I must have a parking genie that's with me all the time, are the crosswalks that tourists just don't understand. That you could pause a minute to let a car go and not continually go, and I don't know if there's any way to control it or monitor that, but that's my big issue.
Okay.
Let's talk about crowds, because we have crowds, crowded, congestion. How are you experiencing congestion, crowds? Where and when is that happening?
Well, what I would say when it comes to crowds is, especially on weekends, we get a lot of people from the Central Valley, you know, from a lot of these places where it's not the most safe kind of place. I'm really being smart with my words right now, but again, we get a lot of these gangbanger, prostitute type kind of people coming into town, influencers, and they're just creating a huge mess. You know, I work at a gallery where, again, I have people doing photo shoots. They're crowding in my gallery. I can't sell to my clients because you have all these people coming in. And again, that's just the issue. The weekends, we have the wrong kind of crowd coming in and making it a nightmare for all of us.
Right here, thank you.
Anyone else?
Yep, right here.
Yeah, it's all the same thing. Everything is caused overcrowding, too much traffic, no parking. It's all by marketing Carmel to the world. It's how many organizations are saying come to Carmel. We can point to the people, the bureaucracies, all the people that are actually doing it because they're getting paid by, you know, tax dollars or whatever. If you're not taking into account the social media, I'm on Instagram, it's thousands of people go to Carmel. They have their pictures. It's beautiful. Looks like a beautiful place to go, but we got to stop that. We have to. If you want to have a plan, you got to do a plan of decreased marketing. I mean, we can't have so many agencies trying to get people here. There's just no rhyme or reason to it, especially when you don't have a plan for parking, overcrowding, crosswalks. I mean, the only place in Carmel that you can convert is, like Dale said, the courts. They're not being used anymore up in Forest Hill, the courts. Nobody's using. I mean, be careful what you list for as far as you don't like pickleball noise, because if you want to park in your garage,
We can't hear you.
Okay. You know, I think there are many questions to be asked about visitors. Who is visiting? Because there are clearly certain visitors that are very well accepted by this community. You have fewer than 1,000 hotel rooms in this community. There's no permission to build any more. So that's 1,000 people. Chief, I think you said your not flock cameras. What do you have here? Flock?
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Flock, yes. Can you share off the top of your head, you know, what the usual volume in town is?
Yeah, it's around 15,000 unique cars.
Per day?
Average. Yeah.
Per day.
Per day.
So you have 1,000 hotel rooms. They're not full. Fewer than 1,000 hotel rooms. They're not full all the time. So there's maybe 700, 800, 900 cars at the most out of that 15,000. So there's kind of a gap there that needs to be understood better. From what we hear, there's a lot of people who live in the Carmel area who come here to shop. They live here. You also have overnight guests who stay at the hotels outside of you. They come here to shop and dine. There's people who are driving through. There are people maybe who are driving what we would technically call a day visitor in tourism is somebody who would drive for more than 50 miles to come here and spend time during the day. So it becomes a question of, you know, who are the people who are coming here, and, you know, what's the best way to manage them? Do you want to exclude? You know, is there a way of excluding these people? Is there a way of managing them? Which ones do you want to welcome? You know, how do you thread this needle? That is really the crux of the issue. Okay, we have a microphone over here. But there is research. I do want to let you know there is research underway to get a much better insight into who the visitor is.
So as I'm looking at the words on the screen, and I'm listening to everything that's been said, it seems to me that this problem that we're experiencing here in Carmel, which is very real, is bigger than just Carmel, because we have other communities on the peninsula that feed people into this area, into Carmel. And I heard you say that there were 1,400 new hotel rooms coming in the works. But we only have one Highway 1. And they're not making any more beachfront. So it seems to me as if, I was listening to someone back here said planning beyond just tourism planning and looking at planning that includes the entire area. And I think it's about expanding our vision and looking at the bigger picture and looking at rules and regulations and parking issues, and how are we going to manage Car Week that used to be a weekend and is now, I think we're verging on 2 weeks. And people coming and racing up and down the highway, people racing down 17 Mile Drive. It's a mess, and it's so much bigger than some of what we're talking about tonight, with all due respect.
Kathy, we got one back here. Kathy?
Okay, thank you, Graham.
Go ahead, and then we'll go to Ryan from there.
Hi, my name is Ryan. I teach 4th and 5th grade at Captain Cooper School in Big Sur. And, yes, that's right. This week we were not at Captain Cooper. I was thankful that we were not, because the driving is so intense, driving on the coast. I have Porsches, Ferraris passing me at 150 miles per hour. And it's only a matter of time before I come around a turn and there's a family that is unfortunately involved in an accident. And being an educator, I think some of the things that I think about, there's so many issues to tackle here. There's really not a perfect way to solve any of these. And we're not going, and it doesn't feel like we're going to solve any of them. But I think that we can come at this through the lens of educating the public that visits this town. So for example, I scanned a QR code to be able to participate in the questions that are here. There can be something as easy as businesses in this area having QR codes stationed within their businesses that can educate people about things that are big, such as traffic driving down the coast. It can be as big as littering up above the beach. There can be so many different issues that we can educate the public about in different languages, being that it's on the internet. And I don't really see anything in this area that is truly educating the public, for instance, how to behave. What are the results of leaving your trash? What happens when you're driving too fast on the coast, or how should I drive down the coast? So I think that could be such a simple thing for us in this community to do, is really reach out to the people that are coming here. Not everybody's terrible. A lot of people just want to see Carmel Beach. A lot of people just want to see Big Sur, but people don't necessarily know how to be. And that's just the way that society is going. And I think this also goes into, for example, like the Point Lobos issue. People need to be educated about Point Lobos. Something needs to happen about Point Lobos too. Reservation system on Saturdays and Sundays. I think we have a lot of opportunity here and so much growth to experience. And then regarding, I see the chief over there. Carmel, to me, felt different than last year. There was a large police presence in the area this year. It made a difference where I live in the home. It felt safer in Carmel, so I just wanted to say thank you for everything that you did this year.
Thank you for those comments. We are getting near time, so I want to go to the next question.
Kathy, hold on just 1 second. This lady's been waiting. So.
Okay.
Hi there. Can you guys hear me okay? Yeah. My name's Ellie McGuckin, and I am part of the Community Association of Big Sur board. I've been a resident of Big Sur for 12 years, and I came here just to kind of hear, what the issues you guys are facing, and really just connect the dots in terms of the fact that we're not all separate communities, and especially the over-tourism in this area deeply impacts us as well. I'm sure, as you all know, this Car Week was better managed maybe in some areas than others, but we did have some really deadly situations in different areas. I know that this talk is not in regards to Car Week, and I don't need to make it about that, but I just am here to say that the over-tourism is really problematic, and as a member of the CABS board, we are actively working on a new visitor guide, also the Big Sur Pledge, which are both meant to, what Ryan so eloquently discussed, help educate visitors and really kind of target that as the main means of getting the right people to come here for the right reasons. People who want to protect and preserve these areas and care and love this place as much as we do, who also respect the locals and don't create incredibly, extremely dangerous situations during emergency situations that have already occurred in our community. So I just want to say, as a part of the Big Sur community, we support you guys, and we hope that you can all support us as well. And thank you.
You're both talking about education. I can tell you the discussion around Tahoe revolved on what they called the 3 E's: education, enforcement. Wait a minute, just a moment ago. I'll get back to you on that one. Engineering, which they used to describe infrastructure. That those were really kind of the 3 keys, 3 good tenets to keep in mind. You had a wonderful example from Laguna Beach. Wondering if those of you, and many of you travel, I understand in Carmel, have you been other places, near or far, where you've seen ways that other communities have managed tourism in productive ways? Any other examples to share?
No cars in the center section.
Yep, Carlos Centers. Reservation systems.
Volunteer community guides.
Does Carmel have that?
No.
Okay. What else?
Fewer tourists.
Now sometimes that is seasonal. There are, just sort of an agreement not to promote during certain times. Actually, see Monterey and visit Carmel. Step back on marketing during your busy times. And you may not be aware of that. Yes.
Why are you marketing at all when social media? I guess what I'm wondering is why our tax dollars are used for marketing, bring more people here, when those tax dollars can be used to mitigate the problem of more people here. Social media is doing this for free for us, and I don't see a justification. So not promoting the busy time or busy times, why promote it all? Why not direct that to mitigating that money to mitigating the issues of over-tourism? And just see Monterey see this. Will see Monterey say that we have an over-tourism problem on the Monterey Peninsula?
I would love to answer that question. And there truly is an answer to that. The very quick answer is, if you only use social media, are those the people that you want to come here? You market to attract the people that you want. I showed you, see Monterey is trying to attract the people who come from long distances and spend more. Those are typically the kinds of visitors that communities want. But I will tell you one more quick thing. I'm from Colorado. I was the Colorado State Tourism Director. I went all over the country sharing this story. It happened before my time, but Colorado voters voted against marketing Colorado. The first year Colorado lost, and this was back in 1993, the first year Colorado lost $1 billion in traveler spending. It kept snowballing. Within 4 or 5 years, they had lost $2 billion in traveler spending. They used to be top of the heap for resort communities, or resorts. They lost that standing. It took 21 years for Colorado to regain its standing, its market share of leisure visitors. So that's why people market, because so much rides on supporting a successful tourism economy. But that's a long discussion, and I'll just share those two quick stories for you, just to open up this discussion.
Janine, I think Chris has a question over there. Chris, you.
I guess my feeling is your marketing doesn't. How about this? Better? Yeah. The marketing, you're talking about it like it's targeted, and like we all want long stay people, but you ask, like right now you're asking what I've seen in benefit Carmel. When I've traveled to European countries, they don't make it easy for tourists to get into that city. You're parked miles away and you're bussed in. I think if you're saying, because I hear this, all the infrastructure part of the conversation keeps coming up. So you're wildly marketing. I don't think you can target your marketing. The evidence doesn't show that your marketing is targeted. I'm not sure how you're ever going to do that. We're not a Telluride. Telluride is where people come for 3 to 5 days. I'm there to ski. Carmel isn't that, right? It can be, but it's not really that market. So if you're saying that we're going to have to build all this infrastructure because we can't target the market, then I'm asking you, then the people who are benefiting need to be writing that check, not the city. And it needs to not be within the confines of what we call or are considered to be the village. It needs to be on the other side of one. It needs to be down the valley. You can bus tourists in a lot easier than you can bus workers. So I think that the people who are consuming the benefit are the people who need to be writing the check. And the people who need to be incurring some effort are the tourists. So that's my sense of it.
Right here.
So in Laguna again too, we actually have paid parking. So going back to Laguna Beach again, we do have paid parking there. And we actually, again, once we instilled the frog parking, we increased the hourly rate. It starts at $10 an hour. That revenue, though, created us to have a beautiful trolley system that goes all over town. And then there's actually also, which is more recent for locals, there is a secret free taxi that will also take you up into the residential streets and even to Trader Joe's and things like that, so a little bit outside of Laguna Beach. So I know that that's another area of question is, whether, you start a paid parking program here or whatnot, but it does add that element of revenue that allows for other resources like that. Then the people that are coming to the hotels or that are staying for even extended stays at homes, then they get more in the practice of walking to Ocean Avenue or whatnot and catching the trolley or whatnot, and then that's leaving up parking spaces also for people that are coming to work or that just need to run into town for a few minutes.
Okay, one more comment here.
I practice something called slow business. I'm a member of a movement called the Slow Movement, and I think slow philosophy could greatly benefit a community like Carmel, and it's part of the reason I brought my business to Carmel. And it just would require a different type of organization and cooperation between existing businesses here, using hospitality, hotels and things as concierge services for the events and amenities that exist here, and shuttle services and from those places. And so those things would be targeted towards people who have already paid to stay in hotels and would promote a longer stay, because you could develop a package, a ticket for your entire family that would be catered to your own personal likes, that would also, be celebrated by the businesses that exist here already. So if anybody wants to ask me about the slow movement, I'd be happy to talk about that after.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. Cool. Thank you so much for. Whoops, we're gonna skip that one. Thank you so much for sharing so many ideas and sharing your honest feelings today. I just wanted to let you know what the next steps are. There's many ways for you to participate, many ways for you to let your voice be heard. Number one, we want to make sure you're encouraging your friends and neighbors to participate in this process over the next 3 months. Next week, I'm targeting August 8th. We're hoping to start distributing a survey link.
28th.
You're right. No, August 28th. August 28th to September 1st. We're going to be fielding a resident survey. It'll probably take you about 15 minutes to take the survey. One of the things the City Council has been saying is that they would really like to have more data to really get more insight into attitudes in Carmel. So it's going to be really important for people to take the survey, share your response. There's lots of open-ended fields where you can, share your opinion in depth. But we hope you will also just fill out the survey. Oh gosh. To give us an idea of where you stand on various issues. We're looking for a response from residents, workers, and business operators. So please, please, please take that survey. October 8th, we're going to have another community input session. We're going to be using the findings from today, from those conversations I'm having individually with lots of different people, from the survey, to develop some draft recommendations. So the next community input session is really going to be about weighing in on what those recommendations should be. So we hope you'll come back and lend your voice to that as well. And we'll also give you a chance on that October 8th community input session to hear the results of the survey. All right. Any questions before we adjourn for the evening?
I just have a question. So what are the milestones that we're looking at? Because we've all been here.
Mm-hmm.
We've all voiced our opinions. I think it's very clear that we have consensus on the problems that we're facing. When do you think we can see a plan, a real, okay, so let's see, we've got to address parking first. That's the first thing we have to do. We're going to do a shuttle from Larson Field, beginning at this date.
Yeah.
And then, so how are we going to do that?
Yeah. We're going to be talking about recommendations. To get to a plan with that kind of specific requires a lot more time in planning.
With the city.
This is the start of a process. This is the start of a discussion.
Going on.
Yeah.
Well, we're doing it methodically. So,
Can I just get everyone's attention for one more minute, please? I'd like to have you all extend a thank you to Kathy for her presentation this afternoon. And also, most importantly, to the vision of the City Council and all the electeds for having a session like this. We thank you for your support, and we look forward to the next one. Have a nice evening. There's plenty of food.